Welcome everyone to the kickoff for Coaches for Good. This is our kickoff event that we're doing today. We are super excited to present this platform to you, and we're super excited that you were able to, or that you're interested in joining us as well. I was sharing earlier that we have people registered from the UK, Germany, India, Jordan, Kenya, Kuwait, Lebanon, the Netherlands, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, Tunisia, the UAE, and the US have all registered. And I can see that there are additional people that are joining as well since I pulled that report. So it's truly a global audience that we have here. Really excited that everyone's going to join. Just to give you an overview of what we're going to do today, we'll do a very quick introduction of Coaches for Good. The other founders, along with me, will just talk for just a couple of minutes at the very most. Then we'll go into a panel interview with our three coaches. And then during that time, Franda will be watching our chat. If you have additional questions that you want to ask the coaches, or you want to ask me or any of the founders as well, just type those into the chat and then we'll get to those questions as well. So with that, let's go ahead and start. Maisa, you are the person who kind of spearheaded this idea from the very beginning. So let's start with you.
Thank you, Dennis. For those who don't know me, my name is Maisa Khalil. I'm an ACC coach. Often described as a goal-oriented coach, because this is what I do. I stay with my client until they achieve their goals. And yes, it's been a dream of mine since I started my coaching career to create a space for coaches and non-coaches as well, to connect and to create opportunities, to share their stories, their passion, their learning, their experience, to inspire and get inspired as well. And I've been truly blessed to meet the co-founders here early this year. And here we are. It was love at first sight. And we are witnessing now the birth of our first baby. So thank you so much. I want to welcome everyone and thank everyone for attending and for supporting, and looking forward for each of you to be part of our dream and journey. And I want to also thank the speakers for their trust and for being here, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thanks,
I'll
Maisa.
pass it to, sorry?
Thank you, Maisa.
Thank you. I'm so excited, almost out of breath. Thank you.
Claudia, do you want to say a couple of words from Finland?
Yes, from Finland. So an ACC coach like Maisa, we met at the beginning of the year. That was love at first sight. We started working together a little bit on another platform, and we found ourselves during the summer looking at each other and saying, oh, we could create something for the coaches. And here we are. I am very, very excited, but I will leave the platform for the speakers and for you to enjoy. And I hope you can join us for the future events and learn a lot with us. So thank you.
Thanks, Claudia. And Franda.
Hello, I'm Franda, and I am here in Dubai, but I've lived in the Middle East now for starting my 15th year. The first 13 of those years were in Saudi Arabia. I am an ICF certified PCC coach and mentor, and also my niche is personal development, and I'm also a certified recovery coach. Again, I met the same group at the beginning of the year, and again, it really was a connection that is probably unlike most others, and one that created not only strength for us, but also empowered us to come together to create what you're seeing on your screen right now. So I'm so happy to see all of you here. Thank you for joining us.
Great, thanks, Franda. And I'm Dennis Kite. I'm an executive coach. I am about 100 hours away from my PCC. So come on PCC, I need some more hours before then. but like Maisa and Claudia and Franda said, we all got together with the idea of giving back to the coaching community. And we had this brainstorm over the summer of, hey, here's a way that we can do it. So we set up a website, coaches4good.com, coaches4good.com. Go on there. It will actually give you our bios and information about it. And it's really a community for you as coaches to come together, to learn, to share experiences, to collaborate, and to share opportunities as well. So we're big believers in there's enough demand for all of us for coaching clients. We don't need to compete with each other. And a lot of times when we actually combine our strengths together, we can open up other opportunities that would have never opened up otherwise. So that's the idea behind the community. It's all volunteer. So we hope that you're active members, that you participate with us and bring your strengths to the community, that the stronger the community, the stronger the platform that we have. So with that, we're going to go into our panel interview now. We have 3 coaches who've taken 3 different journeys, but they've all come to the same destination. So they're all successful in their own rights, but they've approached coaching from 3 different perspectives. So our speakers are Audrey Hametner, Audrey Hametner, sorry.
That's perfect.
Bassem Terkawi and Gabby Metz. So Audrey, when you introduce yourself, can you tell us what area you specialize in, and then also just share with us what's your one secret for success as a coach in the region?
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm Audrey Hametner. I am a career coach. I focus on teenagers and young adults. What is my one secret? I think my biggest secret would have to be the reason that I started coaching kids, which is that it was never about me. And so it started off me wanting to improve on what I was doing at work, and then it turned into wanting to support my own children, and then it turned into supporting friends' kids, and then it turned into wanting to support more and sort of getting hooked on it and developing the passion through it, what I was doing.
Okay, great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Bassem, same question for you. What area of coaching do you specialize in, and what's your secret for success as a coach in the region?
So I call myself executive leadership coach. I don't know if that's something that I'm specialized in, because I often find myself doing other things as well beside that. But this is, let's say, where my heart is, and this is the part that I enjoy doing most. Secrets for success. What's coming to me now is invent. Do your own style. Find your own technique. Don't just apply what you learned. Be creative. Improvise on the spot and see what will happen. So have your own character rather just being cut and paste from each other.
Okay, great. Welcome, Bassem. And finally, Gabriele Metz. We'll ask you the same question. What area of coaching do you specialize in, and what's your secret for success as a coach?
First of all, you can call me Gabby, everyone. I don't know why my name appears at Gabriele Metz. So first of all, I'm really happy to be here and to help deliver this child today and get it to breathe for the first time. My specialty is I'm a systems coach, a certified systems coach. And what's my secret for success? Well, I'm an internal coach. I work for Ericsson. I'm the head of global leadership transformation in Ericsson. And I think my secret for success is having built strong relationships in the role that I had before I moved into this role, which was the head of talent management, not global, but for the market area here, Middle East, Africa. And that gave me the opportunity to really build strong relationships through a lot of coaching conversations, more on a one-on-one basis around career. And when I started to tap into the world of systems coaching, which absolutely fascinated me from the very beginning, I've gone through my fundamentals. I couldn't wait for an opportunity to practice. And I think here, my relationships that I've had already built here in the region really helped me kind of establish myself quickly as a coach in Ericsson. And and I think what people usually say is they feel the energy and the passion I feel for this field, and that kind of is apparently contagious, according to my client. And actually, funny enough, one of my ex-clients actually is sitting here as well. So maybe we should check with Rabi. Rabi, if you disagree, please keep it to yourself.
Never disagree. We had and good to see you.
Thanks, Rabi.
Thanks, Gabby. So, Bassem, if you had to start your business all over again, what would you do differently?
Wow. I just noticed that I jumped straight into answering your first question, and I forgot to congratulate the co-founders of this platform. So big congratulations to you. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm so happy to see so many faces that I know and I don't know on the platforms. And for those who are messaging me privately on the chat, sorry, I'm not able to reply because I have a lot of messages here, but I love you all. I'm so happy to see you all. Okay, if I would do it again, what will I do differently? You know, I always struggle with this question because often people ask me if I want to do design my life again, what would I do differently? And I always say I would never change anything. I love it as it is. When it comes to coaching, I think there are two main ways that coaches could evolve, at least from my point of view. One is either to collaborate with existing platforms, like many of us do. What that gives you is you let go the worry about marketing yourself and do the stuff that you may not enjoy, and focus on your core genius, which is coaching, and do that work that you love. The downside of that is that you may not end up building a brand. So people would know you as X who work to that platform. So for different reasons, I decided to follow that route at the start of my career. So since 2012, I worked with a couple of platforms. My main platform is I work with McKinsey, Abercon, and I enjoyed the journey. They helped me to get clients that I love to work with. As far as the client concerned, clients think that I'm McKinsey, but in reality, I am not. So I'm not on the payroll. I don't get salary. I choose when to work. Loved it. It gave me a platform to coach ministers, head of companies. Maybe if I wanted to do it on my own, it would have been slightly difficult. However, I noticed that not many people knew Bassem Terkawi. And this year I decided to switch to the second way that I could follow from the start if I want, which is to start to build my own brand. So that had led me to writing my book, become visible on the social media platforms. Believe it or not, I've been coaching all these years. I'm really a very busy coach. I only had website last April. So for 8-9 years, I didn't have a website for myself. I just didn't need it because business was coming in and I was enjoying it. So to cut the story short is if I would change one thing, I would probably because I'm noticing the game is different when you start to build your own brand. It has its own juiciness. It has its own fulfillment, and I'm enjoying it. It's driving me crazy because I'm doing things that I'm not good at, social media and marketing and all those things. But I'm learning, I'm growing, and I wish I have done that a little bit earlier, maybe a couple of years ago. But yeah, that's the only difference that I would make.
Okay, great. And Audrey, is there anything that you would do differently if you started your business all over
again? It is an interesting one because my business is continuously evolving. I have been working on the Bedrock program now for almost 2.5 years since I got my designation. And I don't think I would have followed a different path because the path hasn't stopped moving, if that makes sense. So when I started, the focus was just on teenagers and young adults up until the end of university. And then I started to get clients that were just finishing university and entering the professional realm. And then because I also mentor young professionals, then it started to become those who had 2, 5, 6, 8, 10 years experience. And then when working with the younger clientele, I had originally started at 15. I thought that was a comfortable age to start coaching. And then word got out that, you know, I'm kind of fun with the kids and they don't find me totally boring. So then I started to get clients that were 13, 10, 9, and 8. And so that was interesting. And then just recently I got asked to join and work with Maharat Learning Center, which is a center for kids that are on the spectrum for autism. So now I'm moving out of just working with those in regular mainstream school, and I'm working with kids that are normally not given the opportunity to have this type of support, because people normally are focusing on other areas that are considered more important. And with them, I'm working on building life skills and understanding themselves. So the short answer is I wouldn't change anything. I think that the lesson out of it is don't put yourself in a box and just stay there. Allow yourself to grow and to develop as your business develops so that you can get what you need out of it as you grow as a coach. Because what I need and what I'm practicing now is not where I started. And the more that I'm doing it, I'm getting collaborations and opportunities from areas I never would have thought of before. There's 2 other learning centers are saying, hey, look, I love what you're doing with Maharat. Can you work with us? One is with disabilities, another is with, you know, homeschooling children. And, you know, we don't have the types of supports that other people have. How can you, you know, give back? And so it's become fulfilling in a completely different way.
Great. And I think that the common message that we're getting is where we start out in coaching isn't necessarily where we end up in coaching. You take this journey along the way. You may have an idea of where you want to be and what you want to do. And then when you start doing that, and I know I experienced this myself, I thought that after working in the high-tech industry that all of my clients would be high-tech people, and they're actually not. It's about 50-50. And I'm coaching people that in industries that I didn't even think about before. And it's a matter of just being open to those opportunities and trying them out, see if it works, if it fits with you or if it doesn't fit with you, and then just kind of adjust and grow as you go along. Did you find that there was a big difference between coaching adults and coaching teenagers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes the kids surprise me with their level of comprehension to concepts and theories that I thought, okay, I'm taking a risk here. We're going in, and then it's smooth sailing. Like, oh, that was easy. but then with adults and with young professionals, it's a richer experience in a different way. You know, they sometimes come up with things that are so surprising, and I learn and develop as a coach. So it feels, and it's, you know, with the kids, I laugh all the time because they're so darn funny, you know, and some of the things that come out of their mouth, laughter tends to be the best tool for keeping it serious but light so that they can move to the next step. Whereas, you know, with some of the adults, it tends to stay a bit more serious. So you get different things from the different clients and the different ages. And, you know, working with the really young kids, it's almost like parental instincts start to kick in a little bit. And, you know, it's your client, but you're very guarded because they're small, and you don't feel that way when someone's 35 or when someone is, you know, 22. So, right. Yeah, you get different things, and you gravitate towards what you need based on what's happening in your life as well. So I find that at times when, you know, my kids have shoved me to the side and they don't need mom anymore, I tend to pick up more kids in my coaching practice.
Okay.
I recognize it, but, you know.
Excellent. So it's interesting to hear the perspectives from coaches, two external coaches. And so, Gabby, you're an internal coach. What advice would you give to new coaches that are entering the market, either as an internal coach? I guess let's ask it from that perspective. As an internal coach, if someone wanted to be an internal coach, what advice would you give them?
I think first of all, really, it's about developing the relationship with the organization and start to understand the organization. I find at the end of the day, you're not selling coaching, but what you're kind of selling internally as well is helping them solve a problem that they have with their teams, whether it is a lack of collaboration, a lack of communication. So I think first of all, as an internal coach, don't position yourself immediately as a coach, but really first try and understand what the challenges of the business are, how does that show up in the team, and then really build the relationship with the team. Then they will actually trust you. I think that's one of the challenges when you're an internal person. A lot of times people are more listening to external consultants coming in or external coaches come in. So strong relationships that you build where people really develop trust in your competence is, for me, I find a key enabler to really getting those clients, those internal clients, to come to you and contract you for team coaching interventions.
Okay. And a lot of people would think being an internal coach is easy because you don't have to worry about making money. You're already making money doing your job, and you're just doing this as an additional thing. But at the same time, there's less flexibility that you have being an internal coach. So how did you convince your boss or your management structure that allowing you to be an internal coach would be beneficial for them?
I think the easiest is always to find a guinea pig, someone that is high enough in the organization, that is open enough to try something different, and that trusts you enough. And for me, it was, I was in certification and I really started to freak out about getting my 100 hours, and it didn't look good. We had been going through a reorganization and everything was postponed. And then I got a call from one of our executives, and she said, well, Gabby, I know that you know a couple of things that we can do about team building. So what do you think we can do? I have a new team. What do you think we can do? And I got her to agree to give me the chance to actually try team coaching instead of team building. And she absolutely loved it. And then she said, after we spoke, when we did the debrief, I asked her just for a favor. I said, do me just one favor. Tell your colleagues about the impact of this session. what actually was the outcome of the session? How did it land with you? What did you see as a result in your team? And that's what she did. So she sent immediately a note out to all of her LT members. And I think honestly, within 3 months or 4 months, I had my 100-hour coaching session, because everyone kind of started to book sessions with me. So at the end, I had kind of 70 to 80% of the LTs booked journeys with me, not just one session, but multiple sessions actually that I took them on, and that worked. And that was, I think, my advice actually I would give to anyone is like, find that one person that is willing to actually take chances.
Okay, and you use that then to attract your clients. That word of mouth then has grown, and has it grown beyond this region? I mean, you work for a global company.
Yeah, it actually has. I mean, last year I moved into a global role. I'm leading a company-wide culture transformation that ultimately involves all 100,000 employees of Ericsson. And because this is my passion, actually, I did find a way to embed now coaching into our culture initiative. And this is, I'm currently actually in the experimentation phase with having contracted a couple of clients from all over the globe. I have like the global sourcing team. I have one of our digital transformation teams and some other teams actually that got interested, and that I'm currently actually experimenting with, driving Ericsson on the Move, which is the name of our culture transformation, in combination with our with team coaching. And so far so good. It's an interesting experiment.
Excellent, excellent. So it's the power of the voice, of having happy clients who then tell you about other people is your secret for how you've been able to kind of grow your practice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think that actually is the same with every coach. I would think that it's word of mouth ultimately that kind of sells you to other clients. Happy client, there's no better marketing for you than a happy client talking about what they have accomplished as a result of the experience.
Okay, great. We've got a couple of questions coming in from the audience. First, the first question is, what's success for you and how did you get to it? Bassem, how would you define success?
It's how much I'm able to bring inner peace to my clients and to myself.
Okay.
And being in a place of choice rather being reactive. Yeah.
So having the power over the environment that you're working in.
Yeah, and to really be able from a peaceful place to say, actually, I'm going to say no to this, or I'm going to say yes to this, or I'm going to prioritize it, rather feeling I'm pressured or I have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Audrey, question for you. What's the most important thing you learned as you were growing your business? I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but just share with us a couple of things that you've learned.
As I mentioned earlier, the biggest piece for me is allowing myself to come out of the box that I originally set for myself in terms of my coaching. Mm-hmm. So originally it was career coaching, teens, young adults. That's it. Now it's career coaching, confidence, anxiety, pre-teens, teens, young adults, and so forth. But the focus for me is always the same. So I got into coaching to help my clients set goals, realistic goals for themselves with a path that they can maneuver on. And, Claudia knows I love goals. With a goal, you can do anything. The important thing is not to be so stringent with your goals that they become handcuffs, But to understand why you as a coach want to do those things, why did those goals make sense to you, makes it easier to help clients answer the same question, because it's the same question I've had to answer. Why? What is that goal and why is that important? And then how do you find the various paths to get there? And so, you know, it's a journey for myself, and then it becomes a journey that I can walk with my clients through. And I think that that's what becomes powerful, and that's what helps to make a coach successful, is that being able to walk with your client so that they feel the genuine passion in what you're doing, as opposed to feeling like you're across the table and they're just spilling it out and hoping someone's going to put the pieces together.
Okay. And I know, again, we talked about this a little bit, or kind of brushed on a little bit earlier with the niche. And your niche sounds very broad. So if you were to say my niche is, what would you say that is?
My niche is career coaching. This is what I do.
Okay.
And in order to coach the career, these other things fall into play. But my niche is career coaching, young adults and teenagers.
Okay. And I think that's a nice way of describing, without having, just like what you said earlier with the goals of not turning them into handcuffs. I think a lot of times people will struggle so much trying to identify their niche that they actually handcuff themselves. And if you make your niche just a little more broad, but still within the area, and going back to what Bassem had said of having the control over who you are coaching, who you're working with, who you're not, create that niche that way, and then attract your clients that way.
You find your variety in the depth of what you choose to do and how deep you want to go, right? So, you know, I meet coaches that say, okay, you're a career coach. And I say, yes. And they say, you career coach for young adults, teens. I say, yes. And they look at me and they're like, well, that's kind of small. And I said, well, what do you need in order to have a successful career goal? And they think about it, and I think you need confidence. You need to be able to see the path. You need to create the path. You need to believe in yourself. You need to be able to follow that path regardless of what other people say. You need to have the ability to pivot and be resilient. So within the concept of career coaching, you have to do it all. But the point is that it's less frightening for children if you say, but this is why we're here. So they walk out of it with a set of tools that they can use in their life, but I'm framing it this way so that they don't get nervous or too scared about what it is that we're going into and why.
Right.
So it's kind of nice from that perspective.
Okay, cool. So, Bassem, just talking about attracting clients, one of the questions that we have that's come through is, what's the name of your book? What's it about, and where can it be found? And just to add on to that question, is that a way that you found to attract clients?
Is the writing a book is a way to attract a client?
Yeah. Have you found that?
So my book is called Peace in the 5 Laws of Peaceful Living. And it honestly was not written with that in mind. It was not written to bring clients. Bringing peace to inner peace, or peace between individuals or in communities, or even all the way between nations, is a big stake and passion of mine. So this book comes in a series of books that I have still in my mind on that subject. So I did not really had that thinking. However, it definitely have helped to position me and add more credibility to me as an individual and as a coach. So when people goes and try to understand who's this person, there's something, there's information about me that people can research and find out. On availability, I saw that Maisa have put something on the chat. Thank you. Yes, it's available on Amazon. It's available on, if you're in Dubai, most of the bookstores are there. It's available as audiobook as well, and it's going to be in 2 weeks available in Arabic as well. At the moment, it's in English.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
I
actually, Denise, I wanna elaborate on the previous question, if I may. After hearing to Audrey, I really agree with you, Audrey, about you need to see the path, you need to understand the path. I think the biggest element of success is to be able to have a vision and to be able to see where do you want to go, who do you want to be, and don't get lost in the particles of how I want to get there. Have that vision and then chunk it down and focus on it step by step. I mean, if someone has told me in 2012 when I started my coaching career, what would the journey intake in terms of the amount, I mean, I'm an MCC. I became an MCC earlier this year. To become an MCC, it was like starting all over again. I had to hire a mentor. I had to go through training for 6 months. I was like, really, I'm doing this again now? So if someone had told me this before, I would like, sorry, I cannot do this. But then when you do it step by step, it's just the journey unfolds itself. It's like you're driving your car in the fog. You only see 20 meters ahead of you, but then those 20 meters keep revealing itself more and more and more. However, in your mind, you know where you're driving to. You know the destination, although you cannot see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you had said, you had mentioned earlier that you just had your website as of April.
True.
Do you find that that's an important thing to have a dedicated website?
I see the value of it now that I have it. So would it be a hurdle to start your coaching career if you don't have a website? I don't think so.
Right.
I still believe my biggest tool of promoting myself is word of mouth and referrals. But it's a nice. Before, put it in this way, before people used to ask me to send my biography to them, now I say go to my website. And all the information you need to know is there about myself.
Right. Okay.
The other day, I'm not gonna name a country. I was my mom is relocating to a new country. She lives in Dubai and she's relocating to a new country. And I was helping her. I traveled with her to sort out her apartment. And she liked an apartment in an exclusive community. So I'm doing the tenancy contract in my name. And they said, sorry, we're very picky. We don't accept people. Who are you? What's your background? Whatever. I said, check my website. And they went and they checked my website. I said, oh, welcome. Now you have the apartment. So it does give you that positioning, that so people know who you are.
So it gives you credibility.
Yeah, it gives you credibility, absolutely.
Yeah. Audrey, how about you? Do you find that having a dedicated website is important?
Yes, especially for my niche. It's tricky. Having the website is nice because if somebody, whether it's a teenager or a parent, is going through a difficult time and they search for you, they'll find you. They're not hoping that someone else who's going through the same struggle then says, oh, I know somebody who knows somebody who spoke to this lady. I don't remember her name. I'll get back to you. I'll send it on WhatsApp. They can find you. In my niche, it's difficult because there's two segments to the spectrum that I work in. And when you work in this with children, a lot of parents don't want people to know their kids have a problem. right? They want everyone to think, oh, wow, Susie is so smart and she knows what she wants to do, and you raised a great gal, and how did you do it? And so they're a little more reluctant to say, oh, we worked with this great coach and da, 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 da. So when I get testimonials, it's usually, I'll give you a testimonial, but can you just kind of keep it, you know, keep my name out of it, or, you know, because I don't want such and such people to know, or, you know, it's a little bit tricky in my culture because this is not acceptable. So having the website's helpful, because I've literally had people just say, oh, I heard about this thing called the Bedrock. I've seen the ad, there's a website. No one needs to know that they utilize the service. Do you see what I'm saying? So it gives that comfort level.
Okay.
It's also helpful, obviously, because most people expect to, you know, you to have a website. They just sort of like, do you have a website? Yeah, sure, no problem. Here you go. So yes, it's been quite helpful for me in my niche.
Okay. Yeah, I know that that's something that a lot of new coaches struggle with. They can't start coaching, or they think they can't start coaching until they have a website, which is not necessarily true.
No,
it helps you in other things. It helps to provide that sense of credibility to you as a business professional, a sense of stability for the business that you've established. But I think a lot of people get caught up in the idea that if I have this incredible website, that's going to be my marketing tool, and that's where all of my clients are going to go to, and that's where they're going to then come to me afterwards. And the reality is that's really not the case, that it is more like Bassem has said, and like Gabby has said as well, and you've said as well, Audrey, is having happy clients who are talking about the positive experiences that you had. That's how you end up growing your client base.
But Dennis, it's also important to understand that sometimes people want the website because they feel new, and it gives them a chance to feel like they have made it in some respects.
Yeah.
And it does bolster their confidence when they are out there speaking about their craft and what they're bringing to the table, because they feel like I've arrived. So if that is an internal need that someone has that a website can bring to the table, websites are cheap, right? You can go on Wix and you can start one up tonight, right? You can spend $1.52 and get a domain name and have a website. So if it's something people need, depending on, you know, obviously the domain and so forth, but the point is that if it's something you need to give you that confidence, and people talk about imposter syndrome, and I've met a lot of new coaches that say that, you know, this is something they feel. They've never coached before, so how can they tell someone what to do yet? Or they're just brand new to the craft, and, you know, what if they get a client that stumps them? But having that website just makes them feel like, I can do this. You know, it's like when you put on your suit before you go to work, right? It's like, yeah, I'm ready. You do your power pose and you've got something to start with. So I would say it's not necessary in order to coach, right? You just need to have a coaching mindset to coach. But if it helps you to do it eloquently and confidently, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And I think as well, having a website, I mean, sometimes you go on to these corporate websites and you're overwhelmed by how incredible they look, the wording that they've used and the pictures, and you think in your mind, I could never do that myself, not realizing that that company has spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to have people do that for them. You don't have to have a website like that when you're first starting off. And once you start your website, it doesn't have to stay looking the way it does. You can adjust it as you go along as well.
Absolutely.
So, question for all three of you. What was your breakthrough moment? What was it that made the difference for you? Let's start with you, Gabby.
What was my breakthrough moment? What made the difference for me? I think, again, going back to the feedback that you receive from clients that you have coached, if I again go back to that very first client actually that was super happy, and she told me the impact. And as I moved on and coached more teams, and I got more of that feedback of, you really helped create impact in the team. You really create or helped us achieve our performance goals. You helped us achieve our financial objectives. That really made it for me, to be honest. It is all in the impact that you create when you help other people really reach their goals, as we said before, and as my lovely colleagues here have said before. I think that really makes the difference. And the other day, for example, I got an email from a guy that I had coached 2 years ago, and I hardly remembered the name. And it was a beautiful message where he said, "Thank you so much." And he told me about all of the steps he had followed of, following the conversation we have had, and he reached his career goal. It was so inspiring and motivating, and that really is kind of my driver and my motivation.
Okay. Audrey, quickly from you. Same question.
Yeah, I think that my breakthrough moment was after I had finished a package with a young girl. She was 12. Her mom hugged me. And her mom and I, when we first started, it was just a professional relationship, it was just, I have this daughter and she's having these problems. Can you spend some time with her, kind of get her head into school and increase engagement and all that jazz. And we did 2 packages because she was seeing the progress, but we weren't quite getting there as fast as she wanted, but that's okay. And at the end, her mom said, "You know what, I'd like to have a wrap-up session with you before we say, that it's through." And I thought, oh, okay, this will be interesting, see what feedback I get. And of course, I hoped it was positive, but when someone says they want to see you, it's like, being called to the principal's office. And I met her at the Starbucks in Marina Mall. And she walked up to me and she shook my hand and she had a tear in her eye. She just grabbed me and she hugged me. She was like, "You helped our family so much." And I was just like, I'm so happy, and I just, anyone on the call who knows me, I was skipping through the mall for the rest of the evening. Like I was just so that was my breakthrough moment. When you realize that the vision you had is realizable. It's not just the vision. You can see the impact, and you can, as Gabby mentioned with her client who came back to her, it's just, this is why I'm doing it.
Okay.
It's
excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Bassem, what would you say is your breakthrough moment?
I understand breakthrough slightly differently. I mean, in terms of having those fulfilling moments, I mean, those I had plenty of them, and I'm so grateful for them, whether helping couples to restore their relationship, or even helping someone to resign from their job and go and pursue something that they love, or it's a long list. But breakthrough for me is more like what pushed me to the next level, is like what helped me to expand and accelerate in what I'm doing. And there is no such a moment, Dennis, but it's rather the ongoing learning that I signed up for. Like I'm really not exaggerating, but I hardly remember a month in the past 9 years that passed without me learning something new. Whether attending a conference or a workshop, or this constant learning, it helped me to become who I am today. Grabbing new tools. I mean, I'm fortunate. One of the capacities that I have is I'm also I'm on the faculty of CTI, the Coaches Training Institute, and I noticed that as I teach, I learn a lot. as I facilitate this workshop, I learn a lot. So I've been blessed to learn and facilitate, and those two things helped me to break through to become who I am today.
Okay, excellent, thanks. Sharif has a question that I think is really valid in regards to COVID. Has COVID been a hurdle or an opportunity in your coaching practice? And if it's been an opportunity, how has it been an opportunity? Let's start with you, Gabby.
I'd say coaching was rather an opportunity, actually. So it started actually with being able to transfer a workshop that we had designed for face-to-face as part of our transformation journey, to transfer that into a fully virtual session, and that all within like 48 hours when COVID kind of started to hit, and we said we have to find a solution for all of our employees in China in the beginning. And that kind of showed me that actually it is possible to transfer something that you think absolutely has to be face-to-face into virtual. So when then with that experience, I then started to look at the coaching tools, and all of the tools I've learned as they have to be face-to-face. It is very experiential, and you can't really create that same experience online. So I thought, well, if that was possible, then I would venture to say this is possible too. So I started to look at the tools and started to again now roll out different journeys actually online. And I must say it's an amazing experiment, actually. It is something that every time I run a session and I use a different tool, I learn something else. Of course, there are challenges, and you have to be very creative in kind of translating a personal experience onto the screen and creating the same. And have I found the magic, I would say, solution to really translate it one-to-one? I don't think I have, but the way I look at it is this is an agile transformation. So we're kind of learning as we go. So every time I run a session, I have a debrief with the clients. I say, what landed well? How did it land well? What made it land well? So really to get to the depth of what really caused an impact. And that's how I learned to now deliver OSC. And I would have never expected. If you asked me just 6 months ago, is it possible? I would have said, absolutely not. So it's kind of cool to get that push to try something new that I would have never thought is possible. Just shows there is no such thing like impossible.
Okay. So Bassem, what about you? Has COVID been a hurdle or an opportunity in your coaching practice?
To be honest, it's been a blessing for me. I had time on a personal level. I had time. I was traveling constantly before, so I had time to slow down, work a little bit on all the stuff we discussed before launching my website, my book, all this stuff, which I had planned to do it long ago and I could not. My coaching practice have grown even more. I don't know whether people realize that they have time and now they can focus on themselves a little bit, or people were struggling and they thought that coaching will help them. But on a personal level, my practice has grown during COVID time. But what is really more important for me is I always had a personal dream not to be tied up to one place. I've been living in Dubai for 24 years and I will always continue to have Dubai as a base for myself, but I also like to roam. And I always felt that my job was keeping me in one place. And now with COVID, everything went virtual. So it doesn't matter. I can be anywhere. 2 weeks ago, I was flying from Cairo to Istanbul. And then I was going to somewhere else. But then I looked at the timings. I'm delivering a 3-day workshops for CTI. If I want to catch my other flight to the next destination, it's going to make it difficult for me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to deliver the workshop from my hotel room in Istanbul. And I sat there for 3 days and I was going on in the evening. It gave me a lot of flexibility, which I'm very grateful for.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And Audrey, how about you? Has COVID been a hurdle or an opportunity for you in your coaching?
To be honest, it's been both. So it's been an opportunity because, you know, there's a lot of people who are been struggling during this time and, you know, are reaching out and looking for coaching and support, especially around teenagers and the anxiety with the whole debacle with the A levels and the testing and, you know, with young people going off to university and not sure what you know, coming up and whether or not they can handle it and, you know, all those issues. So from that perspective, it was great, right? However, the kids don't pay for my coaching, the parents do. So then you had the issue of just lost my job, or, you know, perhaps it's a little bit expensive for us right now because we don't know what's going to happen, or, you know, and some of those issues. So, I mean, I did a lot more free coaching during COVID, as I know a lot of other coaches had, as a way of giving back and supporting the communities that we live in. But free coaching doesn't pay the bills, right? And as much as it's a community service and we're doing it for the greater good and to facilitate other people who need it more than I might need that money, I'm still running a business and not a charity. So it was great in the sense that I got more exposure because people were looking for me, and then hence the website was really helpful. Mm-hmm. But difficult in the sense that, you know, the financial issue does and sometimes still does play a part.
Okay, great. Looking at the time, I see that we're right at the hour, or almost right at the hour. And I want to make sure that I stay with the time that you have agreed to be with us. We could actually carry on this conversation for a lot longer, but let's close it here, and we'll continue with more of these sessions as we go along. Thank you, Audrey, Gabby, Bassem, for the insights that you've given. It always amazes me when I talk to coaches and how much more perspective I get afterwards, and how I could then think about, that's something maybe that I could try in my own business, or take this approach instead. So I'm hoping that that's what you're walking away with from the session today. We've got some great topics that are coming up. The next webinar that we have is going to be on mindfulness and positive mindset coaching. That will be in December. And then in January, we're going to be with Sarah, who's on the line with us now. She's just published a book on diversity and inclusion coaching, and she'll be talking about that. And what I find interesting about her approach is diversity and inclusion can come across a lot of times like man-hating, and Sarah has taken a completely different approach to it, where it's much more inclusive for men as well. So I think it'll be a really good session there. We do have a survey that we'll send out an email to you at the probably tomorrow morning or sometime tomorrow. If you could just take a couple of minutes and fill out the survey. One of the very last questions in it asks if you want a continuing coach education unit. If you do, just answer that question and we'll make sure that we send you the certificate for that. And then the final question is, what are some of the things that you can do to volunteer to help us grow our community? So think about some of those things tonight and then put those in. Where are your strengths and where can you help us to help everyone in this this growing platform that we've got, that we're so excited to share with you. So with that, thank you again for joining, and we look forward to collaborating, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, sharing opportunities with you in the future. Have a great evening, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
For the invitation.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
That was amazing. Well done.
Bye.